Welcome to This Explainer. I'm incredibly excited you're joining us today because we're tackling one of the absolute most critical evolutions in any developer's journey. We're going to transition our thinking from basic, beginner-level concepts directly into senior-level API architecture. If you've ever wondered how the biggest apps in the world handle massive traffic without just completely collapsing, well, you're in the right place. Let's get right into it. So what really separates a fragile weekend project app from a completely bulletproof million-user system? Well, the answer really lies in graduating from hooking up your front end directly to your database to building a robust, secure, and scalable REST API. And today, we're going to map out exactly how you make that leap. Section 1. Anatomy of a REST API. All right, let's dive into this definition. I know representational state transfer application programming interface is a massive mouthful. But simply put, a REST API is really just the standard way your front end, whether that's a mobile app, a web dashboard, or a payment service, talks to your backend servers over HTTP. It acts as a highly controlled interface, making sure that your client applications never have to or get to expose or directly touch your database. Think of this as the step-by-step hero's journey of a basic HTTP request. Step 1, the front end sends a request, say a mobile app asking for some user profile data. Step 2, the backend receives it, but instead of blindly fetching that data, it acts like a gatekeeper to validate the request and check authentication. Step 3, it executes the actual business logic and safely interacts with the database. And finally, step 4, it packages up that data and returns a clean, predictable response. This strict separation of responsibilities is the entire foundation of good architecture. Now, there is a massive difference between a beginner's API design and a senior's. Think about a messy, verb-heavy URL, something like /getUsersByStatus, compared to a clean, resource-based design. A mature API uses a clean noun to describe the resource, like /users, and then it applies a query parameter, like status equals completed. It's so much cleaner, it's standard, and it's instantly readable. Section 2, the language of HTTP. We use HTTP methods, and they are incredibly specific. Let's run through these real quick. Get is strictly used to read data, like fetching user 123. Post is for creating new data, like submitting a brand new order. Put replaces an entire resource with new data. Patch, on the other hand, is just for a partial update, say changing a few specific fields on user 123. And delete, well, it does exactly what it says. It removes the resource entirely. This is the exact vocabulary your clients use to trigger actions securely. And just as the client speaks to the server has to talk back using HTTP status codes. You've got your 200s, which basically means success. 200 is okay. 201 means a resource was successfully created. Your 400s mean the client messed up somehow. 400 is a bad request. 401 means you aren't logged in. And 404 means the resource just isn't there. But listen, I want to give a very stern warning about the 500 internal server error. When your server crashes, a 500 error should absolutely never expose sensitive backend details, database paths, or stack traces to the client. Doing that is a massive security risk. Section 3. Securing the system. As our API matures, we kind of have to start thinking like a bouncer at an exclusive club. The very first question our bouncer asks is, who are you? This is authentication. Imagine checking IDs at the door. In the REST API world, we do this using bearer tokens, JSON web tokens, session cookies, or API keys. The client presents this token with their request to prove exactly who they are. But you know, authentication just isn't enough. The second question is, what are you actually allowed to do? This is authorization. Think about the VIP section versus general admission. Just because a user is logged into the club doesn't mean they're allowed in the VIP section, right? Can this user delete another user? Can they access the admin dashboard? A really secure API must verify these VIP permissions securely on the server side. Never just hide a button on the front end and assume you're safe. The back end must always verify. And a huge part of that back-end verification is strict server-side validation. Your API has to validate all input. If someone tries to send an age of -5, which, believe me, will happen, your backend needs to aggressively reject it. You have to check that required fields are present, that data types and string lengths match exactly, and that strict business rules are being enforced. This is absolutely mandatory to protect your system from garbage data and really dangerous injection attacks. Section 4. Building for production. Let's shift gears into senior engineer territory. A beginner might build a get endpoint for transactions that works totally fine in testing, but in production, it tries to return a million rows all at once, instantly breaking both the server and the front end. A good production API uses pagination, specifically cursor-based pagination, like limiting the request to 50 items at a time. I can't stress this enough. This is an absolute lifesaver for performance. So a super crucial concept here is item potency. This is massive, especially for financial or sensitive APIs. Imagine a user clicks pay, but their network connection drops right as the request sends. The app naturally retries the request automatically. Without item potency, that user literally just got charged twice. With item potency, the client sends a unique key, and the backend guarantees it will only process that specific transaction once, no matter how many times it receives that exact same key. Okay, let's speed through some fatal production mistakes you absolutely have to avoid. Number 1, no rate limiting. Without rate limits, buggy clients or malicious attackers will completely overload your backend. Then we have exposing internal errors, which we already touched on. Next, breaking endpoints without using API versioning. If you change an API without a v1 or v2 in the URL, you're going to break every old mobile app out there in the wild. Finally, using a GET request to perform a dangerous delete action and failing to keep audit logs for sensitive actions. Just avoid these at all costs. Section 5. REST versus the alternatives. First up, we're weighing REST against GraphQL. GraphQL usually has just one single endpoint, where the client asks for exactly the data it needs. This makes it amazing for highly complex front-end data needs where you really want to reduce overfetching. However, REST remains much simpler, it's incredibly caching friendly, and honestly, it's way easier to maintain for standard business systems and clear CRUD resources. Next, we have gRPC. While REST relies on human-readable JSON over standard HTTP, which makes it perfect for web and mobile apps, gRPC uses HTTP/2 and protocol buffers. It is an absolute powerhouse for low-latency, ultra-fast, service-to-service communication deep inside your backend microservices. Finally, WebSockets. REST is request and response. The client asks, the server answers. WebSockets, though, provide real-time, two-way continuous communication. But here's my warning to you. Please do not use WebSockets for normal data loading just because it sounds cool and modern. Reserve WebSockets strictly for live chats, real-time dashboards, and instant notifications. Section 6. The Senior Engineer Perspective. Look at the hidden complexity behind just a single request. Consider what happens when a user asks to make a wallet payment. A beginner just updates the database balance and calls it a day. But a senior engineer, they see a massive, hidden iceberg of checks. They verify user authentication, they confirm wallet ownership, they strictly validate the currency and amount, check business balance rules, utilize an item potency key to prevent duplicate requests, and finally, they write an audit log. All of that for one single request. Which leads me perfectly to this vital quote. A REST API is not just a URL. It is a controlled entry point into business logic. Bad APIs happen when developers only think about mirroring their database tables. Good APIs happen when you truly understand the user domain, the security boundaries, and real-world failure cases. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today. Look at the code you are writing right now. Are your current APIs truly designed for production scale, acting as robust gatekeepers of your business logic? Or are they just fragile wrappers, blindly mirroring your database tables to the public? I really encourage you to review your own architectural choices after watching this explainer. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep building bulletproof systems.